Okay, so the welcome sequence is to welcome new readers and also to encourage people to get off your mailing list. And you might go, what? What does that mean? What? Why would you want to do that? Well, that's right, because if someone's joined your list purely for your freebie and has no investment whatsoever, you're better off to have them quietly slipping away rather than stay on and waste your time and theirs. And there's three reasons to want them gone. And they are: every time they see an email from you, you're creating a negative somatic marker in their mind. So they are never going to be a positive influence on anyone for you. Second, obviously, they're not going to be your target audience. If they're not prepared to spend dollars or give reviews, then they're not supporting your business and you can send them on their merry way. And third, they're going to cost you money. Your list, once it gets to a certain point, well, your list costs money, your book funnel costs money, sign-up promos cost money, and any audience member who is not going to engage and not likely to buy or at least look, they're just a cost to you. So you use your welcome sequence to gently encourage those people to unsubscribe. Okay, we've got Kathleen. So once she's in, I'm just going to run a go quickly back over. It's thinking. There we go. All right, so apparently I've sent an email with the wrong code, so I do apologize to anyone who got caught up in that. We've just started looking at the welcome sequences and deciding what they are for and discussing that they are for not only welcoming people onto your list, but also to kick people off who really don't want to be there. And the reasons are because the negative somatic markers that you create in their mind, they're not going to be your target and they cost you money. So now that we know what a welcome sequence is for, let's talk about what it actually is. A welcome sequence is an automated series of emails designed to introduce you to new audience members and also to get them to go away if they're not your target audience. It's as simple as that. It's just a series of emails. But by using, excuse me, your mailing program, so MailerLite, MailChimp, SendFox, you can automate them so they go out without you having to think about it. You don't want to do this manually because if you're involved in something that's going to give you 70 or 100 or 400 signups at a time, you don't want to be doing that manually. So that's what these were designed for, was to, when you get a bunch of people come on your list, you can automatically send stuff out to them and you don't have to think about it. They just go in and the emails start going out. So how many emails should it be? Alessandra Torre, who does IncasCon, does a series of 3. David Goran, I've no idea actually how to say his name. He wrote the book Strangers to Superfans. He does a series of 5. Tammy Lebrecht, who is the newsletter ninja, does a series that runs over 2 months. She didn't actually say how many it was, but I believe it's a lot. And then as for me, I do a series of 7 delivered to new subscribers over 2 weeks. And the reason, no, I'll go through what they are first. So basically the first one is a general thanks and welcome. Then I do one about writing historical romance, about reading, about reviews, about my writing companions, which is my doggies, about my heat levels. And then the last one's just called The Last Email. And then they roll on to my newsletter proper. So why do you think I have 7? Feel free to answer in the chat. Nobody knows. It's actually, Vicky, you're right. It's weeding out. It's not building up. It's for weeding out. It gives subscribers more opportunities to get out of my newsletter, get out of my list before they actually hit my newsletter proper. I'm going to get maybe 50 out of a list of 400 who unsubscribe during my welcome sequence, which is absolutely fine because I'd prefer them to leave rather than suffer through stuff that they don't want to see. And I can give you an example of that right here. So when my welcome email went out, it was sent out to 539. The next one that went out to 513. So I had 26 come off the list between there and there. Then my next one went to 501, 497, 490. And by the end, we were at 489. So I lost 50 people from that original 539 who didn't want to be on my list, who were never going to be my target audience. And so I was happy for them to go. What does surprise me is that less people come off as you're going along. Except for this one. I don't actually know why that didn't send out to all of the people. So we're going to ignore that one as an anomaly. But yeah, so what that does is it gets those people off, means that when they get over to my newsletter, my open rates on my newsletter are going to be better because they're a more engaged audience. They're more likely to want to read my newsletter. All right, so when you go into, this is MailerLite's display of your sequence, and rather than going kind of down and then down, this is just one long line of stuff, but I've had to chop it up and put it sequentially like that so you can actually see it all. It shows you exactly what's going to happen, and it also gives you in the stats, in amongst the data, it gives you how many people you have sitting at the different points. So you can see how people are working through your sequence. So when someone's added to this was my non-organic Ryan Z promo signups. So that was a book sweeps sign up. So they get onto that list. Then they get sent this one. There's a 2-day wait. They get sent this one, 2-day wait, blah, 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 on and on and on, until they get to the end when they go just back onto my standard non-organic subscribers list. This list is the one that gets my newsletter. This list doesn't get my newsletter, but this list does. So what do you notice up front about the email sequence? Feel free to put your answers in the chat. It's long. It's all showing up on mine, Lou, so I don't know why you wouldn't be able to see it all on both of mine. It is long, you're right, and I do that on purpose so that the people who like me more, the people who don't like me go away. The things that always stay the same are the logo, and the reason it's about people knowing that the same things are coming from the same place. We went through the logos a little bit last week, but I built that logo myself on Word. I'm not surprised. I don't expect to put people off, because if people connect with me, they're happy to see a message every couple of days. If they don't connect with me, then they go away. And that's the entire point of the welcome sequence, is to bring people across to my newsletter who are actually interested. A lot of people will read these and never respond to them. And there's not a lot of responding in them. Some of them don't even have anything to respond to. But they see my logo, they see my picture, they know it's another one from me. And I mean, I shed 50 out of 500 odd people by doing this, and I keep 450 out of 500 people. So most people are quite happy with an email every 2 days, but then it does go back to monthly and every now and then if I have something interesting happening. So the reason I set them up like this is because they're instantly recognizable, and it'll create a positive somatic marker. Except for this one, which is my puppies, because it was cute and I just couldn't help it. Anyway, moving right along. I'm just going to have, the other thing that Vicky said was that they're short and sharp, and that's another thing that is important. So we'll go have a look at the text of the emails. They like about the initial frequency. Is this something you have noticed about your audience? I haven't tested them long term with an email every 2 days. In my welcome email, I say you're going to get a series of emails over 2 weeks, and then you'll drop back to a newsletter a month and something or other else. So when the sequence starts, they know what they're in for, and they know when it's going to go over to the newsletter. So the way I've set it up seems to work for the people that, you know, I'm targeting. Because I've got 1,200 people on the list, I could survey them and say, listen, would you prefer a weekly email? Would you prefer a monthly? Would you prefer 3 monthly? And I think you'd find that most of them are quite happy with a monthly email. The general standard is a monthly email, but your welcome sequence is a different story to your newsletter. Your welcome sequence has a specific job, which is to welcome people in or to get them to go. All right, so we're just going to have a quick look at the text of, this is the first, no, this is the second email. So I haven't got the welcome one up there. The second email is the one where they get the heading about writing historical romance. And all of these have come from historical romance sign-ups. So it's something that they're going to be interested in. So I tell them that I love writing it, no matter which genre, and that I put little trinkets in my newsletter about bits of research that I do. And I also tell them that sometimes the truth is stretched to ensure that the story is satisfying. And that for me, I detail where I've deviated. Excuse me just a moment. I try to detail where I've deviated in my from the author section. And I ask to check there before I'm publicly lambasted for any grievous factual errors. So the things with this particular message that I wanted to point out, which I need to get my mouse back, is the lead magnet isn't mentioned at all. So what I've sent them, I haven't talked about it. And you don't need to talk about it in every single email that you send. And you shouldn't, because you don't want to sound like you're just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. You're trying to create a relationship. The second thing is there's something fun in it. It's, you know, kind of starts telling you about me and how much, you know, how much fun I have doing what I do. And then there's something about me specifically, so building that relationship, and then a single link. In links, I'll put my Amazon page, my website, obviously the lead magnet from time to time, but I only ever have one link in my welcome emails.